What do you get when you get a narcissistic, sewer-baiting, manipulative, ableist child in a server full of a bunch of yes-men who refuse to tell them anything different? You get Rem. Hey, Stalker, so I genuinely hate working on the series, which is why this part is coming out a bit late, and since it's making me feel some very, very negative emotions. So today I'd like to follow up on my video, Rem Maikamote, the cycle of abuse, because I have a lot more to discuss on this human being. By the way, for context, Rem also goes by Soiree, Renako, Rena, Marphasia, Micah, and some other things, but you'll see them all in the screenshots in the document below. If you haven't watched the last video I made, why are you here? I'll link it in the description if you haven't. Okay, so, short thing of Rem. Rem fakes DID, BPD psychosis and uses it to tell people to self-harm and commit not alive. He lied about being groomed and claims to be Junkerfruit and Roro-chan. All caught up? Okay, let's go. First, I would like to discuss the information an ex-friend of Rem's gave me. This was in the public comment on my last video, which will also be linked in the description.
They were planning to contact Nani to make an exposing video on you. You already know this from the video, but yeah. They made many group chats making fun of your art, saying that your art was ugly and stuff. This one is not that serious, but it's still rude. Rena had also made Vor group chats and kept adding me to them, even when I told them I was uncomfortable. Not much evidence since my previous account was deleted. They had used my art without my permission and heavily guilt-tripped me, which caused the end of our friendship. In the doc, you also forgot to add some screenshots in graffiti, which I added now after this comment. Rena got mad at other people in the group chat and server because we didn't check up on him. It's not our responsibility to look over somebody else's mental state. Heavy guilt-tripping, which you already know, lol. They kept bringing up the fact that I'm an Asian girl. Again, not that serious, but it still made me iffy. They also said things like, "Are you an Asian caterpillar?" and stuff like that. They tried to make their friends vor me. Again, I don't have evidence of this since my dumb butt forgot to screenshot it. Okay, as you can see, I have a very valid reason for making this video. Rem wanted to contact people who have a much larger audience than me to make videos on me and essentially ruin my online presence. Not that I haven't much of one to begin with, but eh. So, I'm going to be using this series to defend myself and spread awareness about this person in case anybody comes into contact with them. Reminder, do not harass this person. Only, and I repeat, only block them if they try to contact you. Okay, let's start, I guess. Rem has no concept of what abuse is. They believe, oh, this person hurt my feelings, so therefore they abused and manipulated me. I'll give you a few examples. I won't say my experience out loud because the last time I tried to record this audio and got to this bit, I had a breakdown. In the middle or the start of June, Rem had completely made my mental health take a plummet and made that part of the year one of the worst few weeks of my life. I will leave it up on screen right now, but I won't say it out loud. Pause to read. You will have to read the screenshots if you want to know. You will also have to read the screenshots in the Google Doc below if you want to know what's going on. So, Rem claims I abused them, still claims that me taking down the Kenshi videos after they told me to kill myself was abusive. So, when I posted that Rem had actually done all this and my experience with them, Rem had decided to meet a person named Sage, who was an ex-friend of mine. Mind you, Sage is extremely transphobic, a known abuser, and of course, Rem and Sage got along great. So, together they decided to claim I was abusive, even though the absolute most I did to Sage was tell them to go fuck themselves because they told me to kill myself. Because anyone who disagrees with you is automatically abusive, right, Rem? You want more examples? Okay then, here's an entire segment dedicated to every experience with Rem I could find. Some of you might know a user by the name of Milky Kiwi, also known as Cake Cows or Milky Cows. They change their username a lot, but they're widely known as Milky Kiwi. Well, because Rem refused to tell me what happened between Milky and him, I got it from Milky herself, aka her video. Milky's friend had doxed Rem's face. Mind you, Milky had left the friend after they did this.
Rem had started a complete hate train, claiming she was a pedophile and a groomer with no evidence at all. Even when Milky showed Rem that she wasn't the one who doxed Rem's face or even got the picture, he still whined and bitched. I'll leave Milky's videos in the description. She ended up blocking them, and Rem is still after them and still looking for evidence and claiming they were traumatized because once Rem was trying to find out their personal information, aka their address and their real name, Milky had messaged their mother, and Rem claimed that traumatized them, you know. Do you want another experience? Okay, I've got a lot more. With his ex-friend, BPD Sarvan, also known as Nazimi, Rem and them were best friends. This part I'm a bit fuzzy on, but this is from what I've heard and understand. At the time, Sarvant had matching statuses with their boyfriend. Rem was very possessive and clingy towards Sarvant. He threw a massive tantrum, calling Sarvant a bitch and multiple other names. He said that Sarvant never really cared about him and never was his friend, which is bullshit. And when he said, "I don't think I'm your favorite person," and Sarvant said, "Yeah, you're not," he got really pissed off and angry. By the way, a favorite person isn't just a best friend. A favorite person is an unhealthy obsession that you cannot control. You cannot control it. It's common in BPD, and it's rather showing that he gets mad of somebody not having an obsession over him that they can't control. It's rather ableist if you asked me. He then claimed that Sarvant was abusive, narcissistic, and two-faced, even though I saw the screenshots of him lashing out at Sarvant. He was the one in the wrong, and I will go into more into this later. And that part actually includes racism, so nice job, Rem. Here's another instance of Rem sucking ass, involving art theft actually, with his artist who has asked to remain anonymous because they don't want to be associated with Rem. I will be calling the artist Cookie from now on. It's not related to their name in any way, I just wanted to choose a cute name. Cookie had drawn Rem gift artwork, which Rem would constantly repost without credit. Note, Rem has never paid for art from Cookie, and when Cookie politely asked for Rem to take down the art, Rem threw a tantrum, including guilt-tripping them in order to keep the art up. Textbook manipulation. He was also racist to Cookie, who is Asian, which I will get into in the next segment. That was a kind of short little story thing, but I still think it's worth mentioning considering it shows more of Rem's behavior. So this next story is what happened with Rem and an individual known as Tabs Creations, who's also one of my friends. And let me just say that Tabs was the one who helped me make the document, or I helped them more specifically. These are their own words, these are not my words. Here's what they had to say. Anyways, my friendship with Rem was very controlling, to say the least. Before they started using my own mental health against me, they would constantly love bomb me and basically never leave my side. If I streamed or wanted a call with friends they didn't know, they would throw a fit until I would either end the call or stream or let them in, which resulted in me and my viewers in live being spammed with disgusting porn. Not only that, but they would constantly trauma dump and make their life and well-being my burden by saying things like, "You promised to never leave me, right? Please don't stay away, please. I'm gonna kill myself because everyone but you is leaving. No one believes or loves me." Shit like that. During dramas and spats, they would hide evidence from me and weaponize my emotions, using my own past and experience to guilt trip me into yelling at someone or triggering me until I'm so pissed that I explode on an innocent person they don't like. It was so fucking horrible. That, and they will constantly try to rope me into highly sexual convos, sometimes with other members. It was the worst. Now, that is how Tabs describes their friendship with Rem. This one, however, is Rem's close bestest friend, or ex-best friend. For context, Raz had left a comment on my YouTube channel taking Rem's side where they dead-named me. I forgive them for anything and it doesn't matter to me anymore. They recently wrote this comment on my other Rem video. Since a lot of people in here are sharing their experience with Rem, I'll share mine as well. They would add me and my boyfriend to group chats constantly. Even after my boyfriend nicely asked them to stop, they would make really strange remarks about my boyfriend, saying things like he was going to end up male to female transgender. I assumed Rem was trying to say this in a joking sense, but it made me and my boyfriend very uncomfortable. It feels very wrong when we're saying these things because my boyfriend likes wearing skirts and stuff. And it felt very bigoted since my boyfriend doesn't want to be female and politely asked for him to stop. But Rem never did. They would call me and my boyfriend a lesbian couple as a quote-unquote joke, which I expressed made me very uncomfortable. Rem also threatened suicide and self-harm to the point where I had to do my best to talk them out of numerous times, which was incredibly stressful for me considering I'm a very empathetic and I worried a lot for Rem. They would spam me with numerous Discord calls, at some points up to 10 times in a row, to the point where I would have to turn off my Discord notifications completely. They would spam me with messages and calls if I didn't reply instantly to them, even if they were aware I was busy with something. Also, back when this drama had happened for the first time, I was only told Rem's side of the story, and sadly, at the time, I believed the huge victim card they pulled. I had asked them what your name was to leave a comment on the community post in Rem's defense that had requested me to write and comment on said community post. Since at the time, we were kinda barely acquainted, I was unaware of your name and want to address you formally. However, Rem gave me your dead name instead, as well as the wrong pronouns, purposefully, for you as well. Although I didn't use any pronouns in my comment and I deleted the comment, I used your dead name and I'll always feel awful for that. Even if I was misled by Rem by thinking that was just how you wanted to be addressed. I know I've already apologized for dead naming you on accident, but I just want to apologize again. Do you see a pattern of behavior here with Rem? He hides information from people, he sewer baits, and he does things like this to make people incredibly uncomfortable and doesn't care what you have to say. He only cares about his own enjoyment of things and really doesn't care about the people he's around, whether it affects their mental health or not. Next, I would like to go into a person named Cass's experience, who is also a friend of mine, with Rem's. Cass describes their experience as an unhealthy obsession. Rem would constantly, and I mean constantly, sexualize them, constantly making remarks about their genitalia, calling them a futa, and referring to them with very masculine things, which obviously made them uncomfortable to the point where Cass had to make an NSFW channel in Rem's Discord server because the NSFW was triggering them. They would constantly call him gross nicknames and force Cass into sexual conversations with other members and making people uncomfortable with his hypersexuality. He would use the word dyke, which is a lesbian slur, and played it off as an alter, which made Cass very uncomfortable. So, after Rem had another sewer baiting attempt where they were constantly sewer baiting and talking about killing themselves, which clearly made Cass upset, Cass decided to go on a hiatus and were very nice about it. Rem called them sick and going on hiatus because they attempted suicide. That's apparently how Rem interprets this, because apparently Rem's mental health matters more than everybody else's. He says it's fucked either way if you're going on a mental hiatus because of his shitty actions where it's triggering them. Calling me an abuser, calling Cass an abuser, calling everyone an abuser. Later on, he even contacted Nozomi after he called them an abuser and had decided to spill Cass's personal information and personal trauma to them. All of these situations, all of these quote-unquote friendships, these are obvious These are obvious signs that Rem's word or experience with people couldn't be taken with any amount of believability. He hides people's side of stories as well as being transphobic towards me and a lot of other people. I don't blame Rem's ex-friends at all. Rem would manipulate everybody around them, and I mean everyone, but then claims he was manipulated. Those are some of the experience I could find with Ren. People in the comments might not believe me because a lot of these experiences are hearsay and a lot of them aren't being shown on screen. To that I would like to say, 1 is an occasion, 2 is a coincidence, 10, more than 10 is a consistent pattern of behavior. More than 10 accounts of hearsay is a consistent pattern. There were in fact other people I couldn't include who were in my comment section, but rest assured, there are a lot more people who are victims of Rem. I would also like to cover Rem's racism in this video. Rem's ex-artist is Asian. According to Cookie, Rem would make constant comments about their race, asking them weird questions. Also, his Mary Sue OC Amai is an Asian character. This will be totally fine and I wouldn't care, but he claims that this is one of his alters, which makes him Asian, when he doesn't have DID or anything like that, because it was debunked by his psychiatrist. So now he's claimed to be Asian. When I've seen his face, he's possibly the whitest kid I've ever seen. He uses this to say Asian slurs, he would ask their artists weird questions, and even made a photo of whitewashing them as a quote-unquote joke. As well as
As well as that, they claim that BPD's servant wasn't actually Hispanic and lied about it for attention. What? Rem, you are whiter than the fucking definition of white. And you want to talk about people's race? Even if you were Hispanic, it has no right to tell you if somebody's Hispanic or not. There was also their constant use of racial slurs due to their evil alter, even though their therapist debunked that they have DID or BPD. They would have these bots in their server that would spam racial slurs, which is... I feel like I didn't cover this enough in my first video, so here it is. Also, Rem has absolutely no idea what the word no means. He would, and still does, spam underage porn to the rest of his underage friends, which is extremely illegal considering some of the characters he spams are 10 years old. And he has this pick-me best friend named Sylv who has virtually no personality, who refuses to slap some sense into them and is encouraging all this shit behavior. May I add, this behavior could get everybody in that chat in trouble because not only is it illegal to send porn to minors, but it is illegal to send porn of minors. That is child pornography on both counts. And when people would mute him because he wouldn't stop spamming really gross, disgusting porn, he would make a group chat so that he couldn't be ignored. One of the people that he spammed used to actually suffer with an addiction to this shit. I won't name them because I don't want to expose private information because I'm not Rem. He used to suffer with an addiction to this stuff, and Rem knew this. Rem would still spam porn. He would constantly sexualize everybody in the chat, usually talking about their genitalia, which made everybody, including me, uncomfortable. He plays this off due to his hypersexuality because of his trauma. Okay, let me just say something. If you hurt somebody, I don't care what your response to trauma is. If you hurt somebody, you hurt them. They are a victim of your actions. Now, look, I get extremely defensive when I get questioned over serious shit. If I lash out and punch somebody because of that, that's my fault. It's not the other person's fault. You don't get to hide behind, oh, it's my trigger. Your right to swing ends at the bridge of my nose. AKA, if you hurt the people with your way of coping, you don't get to blame that as an excuse. Speaking of porn, Rem used to be a mod in my old server. They ended up making a bunch of sexual jokes, which made one of my members named High Five very uncomfortable. I wasn't online at the time. The person had gotten extremely uncomfortable and asked to drop it. Rem said yes, but kept the argument going. He tried to excuse this by saying he was a CSM victim, which is child exploitation something. It means child sexual exploitation material victim, and saying that he's laughed with other victims, which is stupid considering in my server rules, it says if you are making somebody uncomfortable, either alert a mod or drop the thing entirely. He then devalued this person's triggers, which is hilarious considering he accused me of devaluing his trauma when he claimed me being physically abused at home was nothing compared to what he's been through. Rem, let me make one thing fucking clear. If you mean CSM, I don't fucking know. If you are exploited by quote-unquote by Kenji because you were quote-unquote groomed, you weren't at all exploited. You lied about your age and then claimed to get groomed. God. It's so hard not to get mad at this, I'm sorry. And the person he was talking to, High Five, has PTSD, and Rem told them, don't join a public server if you don't want to see sexual jokes. Here's an idea, Rem. Shut your fat fucking mouth and stop devaluing people's trauma. To the person who went through this with Rem, I am so sorry, and I want to apologize for that experience with Rem. Now, for the last point of my series, I would like to discuss Rem's way of manipulation for any victim of Rem, and anybody who's had experiences with him can agree with me here. Here's Rem's guide to manipulating somebody made by GraffitiAlopia. Step 1. Add a fake-ass apology, add how sorry you are, and that you know it hurt them. But never actually change your actions. Step 2. Say how much of a terrible person you are and how many people you've hurt. And while you acknowledge this, never put in an effort to change it. Step 3. Say how much you want to kill or harm yourself. Throw in how many pills you want to take and how many suicide attempts you've had too, just for good measure. Step 4. Have anger. Lash out. Tell the person to shut the fuck up. Don't spell it correctly though. That will absolutely end the world.
Step 5. Retreat to your cult. Go to your Discord server and claim anyone who disagrees with your behavior is abusive and claim that you were abused and manipulated. Step 6. Make multiple group chats. Add all your friends and tell them to do terrible things until they lash out at you. Then you can play the victim and have all the pity you desire. Repeat step 5 and 6 until you're satisfied. So, what's my conclusion on this person? Well, Rem, I think you're terrible. You purposely put yourself into situations where you attack and bully people and then play the victim for attention. You lied about being groomed, for fuck's sake, because you wanted people to go to your pity party. You lied about your ex-friends abusing you while you were the abusive one. I don't think you have a chance of changing if people talk it out with you privately. Everybody has tried to talk it out with you privately. You reject it. You make a group chat. Well, let's see if this video gets into your thick skull. If you haven't already, press the subscribe button and join my Stalker Army today. We are sort of an army, sort of a cult, sort of a family. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!